Meeting of Page County School Board.
Mr. Odenfeld.
Yes.
Ms. Boucher.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Bryant.
Yes.
Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Ford.
Yes.
All present.
Please pause for a minute of silence as we prepare for the meeting tonight. And for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Fox, do you have any agenda changes or additions?
I do not.
I have a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion we approve the agenda as stated.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Overfelt and a second by Ms. Boucher to approve the agenda as presented.
Ms. Boucher.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
Mr. Odenfeld.
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Ford.
Yes.
Madam Chairman, I would like to certify that all personnel matters discussed in closed session this evening were according to Section 2.2-3711A1.
Second.
The motion by Ms. Sullivan Smith, a second by Ms. Boucher to certify personnel matters discussed in closed session.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
Mr. Odenfeld.
Yes.
Ms. Boucher.
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Ford.
Yes.
No, one no.
Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Boucher and a second by Mr. Painter to approve the consent agenda.
Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
Mr. Odenfeld.
Yes.
Ms. Boucher.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Ford.
Yes. The August minutes are on for review. Anybody have any questions or comments? We'll review them before the next meeting. The Sechrist monthly financials.
Yes, good evening, board members. You have been provided with the monthly financials for the month of August, where expenditures and revenue were $3,406,502.99. Along with that, you have the local match calculation that we did balance with the treasurer's office. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best. Thank you.
Dr. Huber, instructional update.
Yes, good evening, members of the board, Dr. Fox, and members of the audience. This evening for our instructional update, Mr. Runyon is going to present an update and information on our dual enrollment programs. So please stop us along the way if you have any questions. We'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. Dr. Fox. I'm here to present a dual enrollment update for you tonight. All right, so this first slide will show you the course offerings at the high school. Both high schools, these are taught by our instructors, and some of our teachers do travel back and forth to the two high schools. And then the bottom part is the students at the governor's school, the courses they take that are dual enrolled there as well.
Quick question.
Question.
Oh, you go first. Do we not offer calculus at the high school anymore?
There's AP calculus.
Oh, there's AP.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There is dual enrolled pre-calc, but sometimes that depends on if we have an instructor that can teach it, because the dual enrolled is above and beyond a teaching certificate, so they have to have additional requirements to teach this.
So I want to interject, if I may, because if you all ever have an opportunity to speak with anybody from the Virginia College, Community College system, that is a barrier for public high schools because you have to have a master's in that content area. So in order to teach calculus or chemistry or biology or English, you have to have a master's in that specific content area, not a master's in education. And most teachers in education go into a master's in education or in curriculum and instruction or administration. So it's a true barrier, and the community college system knows it. Every superintendent voices that concern because it's just hard to find people that have those endorsements. So if you ever get an opportunity to speak to anybody about that, please put in a plug to say they've got to look at the credentialing. Same thing is true on the opposite end. If Laurel Ridge wants to have a teacher come and teach for us in dual enrollment, they have to get a teaching license in the state of Virginia. So they can teach at a community college, but they can't then, they're saying they can't come and teach for us at a high school without a Virginia teaching license. And I get pieces and parts of that, right? But there's got to be a better system for this because it is a challenge sometimes, especially in a small division, to find those folks. So we're grateful for the teachers that are endorsed. We're helping some get those endorsements and things like that. But just want you all to be aware that that's a real life barrier that not just Page County, everybody faces in the community college system.
Sounds like this is something we got to bring up to the SBA this year, maybe to our legislature.
It could be worth conversation with legislators because they are talking about potentially making dual enrollment free.
Right.
And so there's some tying some money to that, but you've also got to, you can open up dual enrollment, but if you don't have the teachers to teach it, it's not going to do any good, right?
One question, Ms. Runyon. You said some teachers are moving to different schools. Do we have students moving to different schools?
No, we've done that in the past. We've done this a variety of ways, and we found that it's easier to have teachers move and one person transport as opposed to moving 20 students here and there. So we are appreciative to those teachers who are willing to drive between the two high schools and teach those courses so that both ends could get it. We've done that. We've tried Google Meets and whatever, but
Do they get paid for their gas mileage to do that?
We give them a stipend for doing it, yes.
Okay.
thank you. All right, and then if students want to take some courses at Lower Ridge that don't fit into the schedule, there's a couple ways they can do that as well. There's the synchronous courses. Those courses are meet at a scheduled time, so the student has to get on at a certain time, just like they were going to the class. They're expected to log in and participate, and it's taken during the day, so we do find them space at the school during their, maybe their third block is their Laurel Ridge block, and they'll sign into this class and do whatever. Or there's the asynchronous, where they're not logging on at a certain time, but they must meet the deadlines that are provided in the syllabus for the course, and that is also, we find time for them in their day to do that. You know, or maybe it's another course they need to satisfy something else, we'll take those. And then the highlighted part is the handbook for dual enrollment for Laurel Ridge. So it's a nice partnership. They do work with us a lot. Our next slide, some data for you. 3-year comparison of the number of students who have taken courses, dual enrolled courses through us and Laurel Ridge. So those are the different courses taught. And those will fluctuate year to year, depending on interest and on whether we have teachers to teach the course. Any questions on that? Good. And the scheduling process. Here's the who, what, where, when, how this happens, how information is disseminated to students. So part of this starts prior to the scheduling process. They will meet with 9th and 10th grade students and parents to start discussing dual enrollment options because they can't take them in 9th and 10th, but we're getting them ready for it. Here's what's coming. And I just saw them on the school's email list, so the high schools are already starting this process this week or next week. They've got meetings scheduled for their classes to start talking dual enrollment. And also, when they start the scheduling process, the counselors really speak to the students have 3 options. They're telling them they can take some credits. They don't have to commit to so many. If they want to take 1 or 2 classes, that's an option. Or they can do the general certificate, the 1 year, or they can do the associates. And to do that, it's a lot of work and a lot of requirement, and so that's not for everyone. And so they really work to make sure the student and the parent knows what's involved and are into it.
Just a quick question. For example, a student that's looking at dual enrollment English, do teachers give recommendations, or do they give any input as to whether or not that student would be a good fit for that?
Yeah, I think they do. So if there's a question, they may go back and ask the teacher what do you think. Later on, you'll see that there's some requirements from Laurel Ridge also about what you have to do to get into courses.
Good.
And then during the scheduling process, the 10th grade meeting about dual enrollment is during their advisory or SAP period this year. And then also all grade levels are informed about dual enrollment offerings. And then there's also the Laurel Ridge Dual Enrollment Advisor who comes in. And they come in twice a year or more, but twice they'll do a fall visit to talk about what's coming up in the spring, and then they come in the fall to talk about summer courses as well. So they come in the spring to talk about summer and fall, excuse me. And that advisor goes to the high schools. They work with the career coach in doing that, and I think it's probably the same advisor that services both high schools. And then our career coaches are in classrooms, and they're really the ones that spearhead the dual enrollment. And that's Mrs. Gubler at Luray High and Mrs. Betcher at Page.
Question for you.
Yes.
So these summer courses, are those for makeup only, or is that?
Through Laurel Ridge? No, that's probably them just
That's
continuing on their.
requirements? Okay. To get the 2-year degree, they've got to go full-time, basically.
Potentially. It depends.
Potentially.
Depends on their schedule, but they can take summer classes as original credit to get ahead or to get
Or to catch up.
the associate's degree, but it's not required.
My thought was, say somebody, say an 11th grader didn't make the decision right away the first semester, could they get enrolled the second semester and make it through and get the associates by going through the summer program?
Probably not.
Wouldn't
Probably
it
not.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
probably too many
Okay.
credits.
Not with the other prior classes at the high school.
Just curious.
And that'd be something they would sit down with probably their school counselor and the Laurel Ridge counselor to see if that's possible or not.
So the bottom line is it's critical if they start right at the beginning of the 11th grade.
Especially if they want the associate.
Right.
If they're just doing the 1 year or they're just going to take a few courses, it's not as important.
Okay.
But it's not going to hurt them to start in their senior year or even the second
Absolutely.
semester of their senior year.
Right.
Because
They'll get
again,
credits.
they're paying a quarter of the cost, you'll see in a minute for
Right.
those courses. So get ahead and get as many as you can if that's a route you want to go.
Or even if you're unsure,
Yeah.
you know, take the course and see if this is the path that you're looking for.
To kind of beat the advertisement drum, this is a great idea.
Any questions on the scheduling process? How it goes? And we officially kick that off around February, March, but really it starts all year because you're always looking at the schedule and what's coming next. Before long, we'll be talking about the program of studies for next school year, so that's when a lot of this starts coming along too.
Now, is there a career coach assigned to each high school?
Yes.
So there's one in each building?
There is one in each
Okay,
building.
great.
We used to share one.
Right,
Now
that's what I
there's one in each
remember, yeah,
building.
okay.
All right, so just a little background, some information on what the career coach, what their job is and responsibilities. And I took this from the Laurel Ridge handbook. They are a community college employee based in local public schools. So any school that has this partnership has a career coach in their buildings. They assist high school students with defining their college and career readiness aspirations. They administer career assessments for students. Facilitate the development of individual career plans and portfolios. So to Mr. Overfelt's question, they're mapping out what do you need. This is what you're interested. And there are different paths they can take. So they share information on careers and career pathways. They connect them with the early college program. And they facilitate the dual enrollment process. So they do have to enroll in Laurel Ridge in order to take the dual enrollment classes. So they have to make sure they do all that. The career coaches are a valuable asset and do a lot of work to help the school counselors in this area. Any questions on that? And then I thought I'd give you a little information on what the Laurel Ridge Advisor does. They collaborate with the school counselors and the career coach. They're all in touch. They counsel students about which courses to take. They different courses to take for 1 year as opposed to the associates, depending on what it is you are looking to do. And they provide the student with a credit map to keep track of their credits and what courses they need to take. So it's on paper and they have a plan. Questions with that? All right, the academic and career plan, so we would put this in there too, because this really starts in grade 7 now. They have to have those academic and career plans. And those do transfer to the high school as they go through middle school and high school. And they're working, breathing documents. So just because a student says in 7th grade, I want to be this, it doesn't mean they have to stick to that. They can change as they evolve and grow and figure out what else they want to do. We've been tracking this through Major Clarity, but now we've been making a change to the Pathful Explorer. And that's how it's tracked and moved along from grade level to grade. So that the school counselors can see it, the student can, I believe parents have access as well. And financial savings. So if they decide to take some of these dual enrollment courses, it is at a savings with the partnership with Laurel Ridge. It's a 75% discount, which really boils down to $46.50 per credit. So if we take an average course, it's 3 credits, most of them. Some are 2, some are 4 or 5, but a 3-credit course, that's $139.50 per 3-credit. It's a huge savings. That they can,
We're looking at saving, a normal course credit would be about $200 per credit.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, or more, so that's huge.
so they can go, if they do their associates, they got 2 years out of the way, and then they just have 2 years to pay for or finance, whatever they want to do. But any little bit they do helps. And this is what you were asking about. Laurel Ridge does require students to have at least a 3.0 GPA in order to take a dual enrollment course. Because remember, it is a bit more involved, rigorous, demanding. And they do offer Zoom meetings with students and parents to talk about programs. So, and if they're want to know more, they can always make sure they speak with the counselors. They'll put them in contact with the right people. And if they're not sure, if a parent isn't sure whether the program is right for their child, go to the school and ask. They'll walk them through it. And maybe they start with one course just to see, is this what you want? Is this going to be for you or not? Questions?
Yeah, just one question. So is this document someplace on the website for us, or is this something we developed for the meeting tonight?
This particular
Yes.
presentation was developed for tonight, but it'll be attached to the board I think it's already attached to the agenda.
It is.
No, I'm just talking about for access to the public and parents. And
I think we have a dual enrollment section on our webpage. We can add this presentation to that
it's
section.
very clear. I mean, it's very,
But if the public goes and
And
pulls up
improve.
the agenda for tonight, they can pull up
Yes.
the attachment.
Right.
But if we do have a dual enrolled section,
Yeah, we can add it.
yeah, I thought it was very good, and the improvements you've made is wonderful. Might get the students to travel,
Yep.
open things up, with counselors and all that. It's wonderful.
Talking with 7th graders is great
Yeah,
too.
it's
Yep.
huge.
Never too early.
Now we got them going to the tech center and all. So there's all kinds of pathways to success we can find.
There you go.
Why not pay?
Believe it or not, career planning starts in kindergarten. There are activities that are being done now, K through 12, with kids as a part of the programming. So kids are learning about what does it mean to have a career and things like that. So there's 18 different pathways now, so they're learning all about those as they move through school.
thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Superintendent update.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And I first want to take a moment to introduce our students. They're here for the first time this evening. So welcome, Bridget Dudley is a junior at Luray High School representing them. So welcome, Bridget. And Sebastian, you know from last year, but Sebastian Bush is now a senior at Page County High School. So welcome. We're excited to have both of you. They have both agreed to go in November. They'll be joining us at the VSBA and attending the student conference.
Good.
So we're looking forward to that and what they bring back from that. They also will be serving on the Superintendent Student Advisory Committee.
Excellent.
So they're representatives on that as well. So welcome, and we look forward. We're going to stagger their updates. So one meeting, one will update, the next meeting, the next one will update. And if they're not here, we'll figure it all out and work it out. So they aren't encumbered with an update every meeting. So
Who's doing it tonight?
no one tonight. We're going to start them at the next meeting.
Well, can I ask one question? Sebastian, is that a new hat?
No, this is one I've had, but I got it cleaned up for tonight.
It looks better.
Good answer.
Thank you for that moment of levity, Scott. We all need it sometimes. So, but welcome. We're excited to have both of you. And Bridget, I'm sure Sebastian will fill you in on anything you need to know, but don't hesitate to ask if you need to know. And you have a wonderful group of board members to work with, so don't hesitate to ask them questions either. So as I begin my update this evening, we just want to take a moment, and this is the 9/11 was yesterday. We just want to take a minute and remember those souls that were lost and those that have given their lives in the time after 9/11. So if we could just take one quick second to remember 9/11. Thank you. So if you all recall, a couple meetings ago, we introduced to you that we would be bringing on board a new program called Care Solace, which connects families with mental health resources or substance use resources. We just thought, I pulled this up and I was like, Mr. Painter would like some metrics, so I got some metrics for you, but this was really great to see because we're really only a couple weeks in. And you can see there's already 16 cases that have been referred, a total of 529 communications that have happened, and that's between families and the case managers, our guidance folk, our school counseling folks, other folks with Care Solace. 3 appointments have been booked and made with mental health providers. There have been 15 anonymous searches, so if you recall, anybody in the community can go on to that Care Match site, and they can search for a provider if they want to. So people are going there and searching. In terms of the hours saved for our staff, that's what that chart is on the side. It's a total of 14.3 hours of our staff time. But more importantly, people are getting connected with the resources that they need. So just an interesting statistic in terms of the hours saved for our staff. There have been 11 warm handoffs. So that's where our staff physically enter a family into the Care Solace system and hand them off to the Care Solace staff. So 11 of those have happened just in the last couple of weeks alone. And this is just an example. Our dashboard shows us what some of the things are that people are seeking support for. So anxiety, depression, trauma, ADHD, suicide, and other things. So, and we sent a note to our school counselors and to our administrators just thanking them because it's really important that they're using this. And we said we'd give it a year and see how it goes. And I got a reply back from somebody that said they love it and they're so excited to have it. So this was good news in the midst of a little bit of turmoil and some things. This resource is there. And again, I just encourage anybody, staff members can use it. It can be anonymous. You don't have to report to us. It doesn't have to go through a school counselor or an administrator. You can go again, and the link will be in here later, but you can go into that Care Match and search for somebody yourself, and Care Solace will help you with those appointments as well.
And the link will be coming out?
Yeah, I've got the link a little bit later, and it was in the letter that we sent yesterday.
Okay,
It's on the webpage.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
okay.
September is also Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And in looking at some of their resources, we thought this would be an easy thing to share with you. So ABC, ask. Research shows that people who are having thoughts of suicide feel relief when someone asks after them, just simply in a caring way. How are you? Are you okay? That alone brings some relief to folks. So if you see somebody struggling, just ask them, how are you? How can I help? Be there. Individuals are more likely to feel less depressed, less suicidal, less overwhelmed, and more hopeful by speaking to someone who's simply just willing to listen. Not pass judgment, not offer advice, sometimes just listen. So again, just ask them, are you okay? How can I help? And then be a resource by listening. And then connect. Helping someone at risk creates a network of resources and individuals for support and safety that they can then take towards positive action and reducing those feelings of hopelessness. So help them connect. And it might just be that they connect with you. It doesn't necessarily mean that they connect with resources. First step might be that they just connect with you and will reach out to you. So as we continue to work through September with suicide prevention, just remember ABC and try to help and work out. If you know that somebody does need help, a resource is Care Solace. And other resources are the 988 hotline, which is the national hotline. At any time, you can just dial 988 and you'll be connected 24/7 with someone who can offer support. You can text to that number and they also have a chat feature. So again, anyone, anytime, anywhere, they also have translation services available, should that be needed. Our Stop It app, which is used for anonymous reporting, it also has a 24/7 crisis text line. You can simply go into that app, click on that red box, and it will connect you immediately with a trained counselor, crisis intervention, who will then help to sort of triage and connect you with other resources if those are needed. Care Match, so this is the Care Solace information. You can either call that number and you can immediately be connected with a Care Solace caseworker, or you can go on to that site. That site is us, and you can begin to search anonymously. You don't have to put your name in, and you can look for, I need to talk to somebody about depression, and you put that in there and there'll be some resources that pop up for you. If you're not sure how to navigate that, you can be connected with a Care Solace case manager who can help you navigate that system and will even make an appointment for you.
What's the last four digits on that phone number? 05.
0595.
Thank you.
And I know this was in the letter that was sent out. Is this on the website as well?
Yeah. And all of our kids have the Stop It app. It's on their Chromebook. So at any time, they can use it to anonymously report, or they can connect with that crisis hotline as well. We are excited, good news, world. We're excited to share with you that we just found out yesterday that we received the Communities and Schools grant again. So yay. This time it's a 2-year grant, $563,000 that's split over the next 2 school years. I think we jokingly say to Mrs. Seacrest and Mr. Hopkins, we've already spent this year's money. But we are excited about having this money from the Department of Education. Excited to have a renewed grant. That means that we've done what we should with the first time around. So just some examples of the things that are currently written into the grant that we could use this funding for. Those school-based community liaisons, they did so much work last year in putting together community events. They worked on chronic absenteeism. They made phone calls to parents. They worked with kids. This year we wrote in cafeteria monitors just to give some extra help in those cafeterias, so that teachers can either go back to their classroom or instructional aides could be helping other students. The parent and student drug and alcohol education classes. So when a student has a disciplinary consequence, or we know someone needs help, a combination of PACA and Northwestern, one evening each month, they offer a class. We pay for that and for our students and their parents to attend. Different professional development for staff members. Counseling services for addiction and family growth. We sometimes will refer students to addiction counseling, and we'll pay for that from the school division. So this grant helps fund that. We'll pay for transportation if they need it as well. The grant will cover after-school activities, different events, transportation for those things. Our kindness initiative that we do every year. Last year, if you recall, everybody at each school had a different matching T-shirt. We did some kindness activities throughout the month of February. Different family engagement events that you'll see across the division. We do, through this grant, pay for the part-time school-based therapist with Northwestern, and that's good news. Now her list is full and there's a wait list, but hey, we've got it.
Yeah.
Our goal is hopefully over time to again make that a full-time position, but the good news is that one's there. The grant pays for things for the clothing closet, hygiene items, and the food pantries, as well as things like laundry detergent. Every school now has a washer and dryer. That was through last year's grant. So now we can buy the detergent, and families and or students can wash their clothes if they need to at school. And then calming corner materials and things like that. If a student needs a moment to collect themselves, there are things in classrooms or in the school counselor's office, administrator's office, that they can use to help calm themselves. So that's just some of the things that these grants will cover. So thank you to Mrs. Seacrest and Mr. Hopkins for writing that grant and making that happen. So we're excited to get this money.
Good job.
Okay.
In conjunction with September being Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, we're also excited to share that another collaboration between PACA and Northwestern, free training is being offered to 21 of our staff members, plus some other folks from the community, on youth mental health first aid training. So this is where they can learn how to recognize the signs and symptoms that might indicate an individual's in crisis, and then what to do. So it's an all-day training on the 24th from 8 to 5. And we have 6 of our school counselors will be trained. Some have already been trained before. We have 2 drivers from transportation who are going to get trained because, again, they see the kids first in the morning and last in the afternoon. Our new assistant principals will be trained, 3 of our school nurses and 6 instructional assistants. So we're excited and grateful to PACA and Northwestern to be able to have 21 staff members trained for free. And then they will take that information back to their school and work on a train-the-trainer model to get other folks trained in what the signs and symptoms are.
And can I add, this is fairly recent, but Northwestern's looking at some of the opioid abatement funding. And we have the potential with the percentage that we're getting trained to be in position to get trained to do teen mental health first aid, where we'll be able to offer that curriculum to our students. So,
and then just, we all know that the last week or so, 2 weeks, has been a little bit challenging in dealing with the number of threats that students are making, whether they're threats to do things such as shoot or bomb, things like that, just making to hurt other people. Unfortunately, there's been a rash of those threats. We did send a letter out yesterday, and we are notifying parents at each school when those situations happen. Just wanted to give you all an update on some of the things that are happening across the division to try and combat this, and again, to partner with parents because we need their help with this. So this week, all of our secondary schools have had student meetings where they're going into small groups of kids and just talking about this again and saying, there's no tolerance for this. We can't be saying these kinds of things. Here's how you report information. If you're frustrated, here's a way to manage that frustration. They're defining what a threat is so that there's no question in kids' minds as to what a threat is. And they're using these statements and then giving some concrete examples of what threats are. And they're emphasizing that we should never make them, and that we can't just say it and then say, oh, no, I was just kidding, or that was a joke. We can't do that anymore. And in the letter that we sent out yesterday, we were clear in that as a school division, we don't have that luxury to assume that anyone is joking anymore. Gone are those days when we can say, they were just messing around. We don't do that anymore. They are talking with students about the possible consequences at school if they make a threat. So students find themselves in what we call poor school standing, and that means they're not able to participate in activities or events. Can't go to the football games on Friday night. Can't participate in a homecoming game. Threat assessments are always conducted, and that's where our staff have been trained and walked through a series of questions to determine, is this an imminent threat, a high threat, a moderate threat, a low threat, based on questions that are derived out of a UVA program statewide in the Department of Criminal Justice. And those threat assessments become part of hearings if it makes it to that level. Students can be suspended from school, and they're sharing with kids that can be anywhere from 1 day to 365 days. We can suspend students for up to 365 days. Those students are coming to a superintendent's disciplinary hearing. The traditional path is a 10-day suspension, and they come for a hearing up there, and we decide if additional discipline is needed or warranted, as well as supportive measures, because it's not just about the discipline, it's getting to the root of why did the student make that particular threat, and then helping to intervene and put in support so that that doesn't happen again. Students might be placed in an alternative setting. They might come before you all for a school board hearing. They might be placed on what we call home-based instruction, whereas we educate them, but it's just not in one of our buildings. And we provide a teacher for some of that. And then expulsion is always on the table as well as a potential. And that's where they can be removed completely from school for a period of 1 year, and their parents are responsible for educating them. And so, again, just trying to get the seriousness of this across to kids. This isn't something we joke about. It isn't something we make veiled comments about and then think that it's going to be okay. And we're trying to stress to them, too, this isn't that you get to go home and sit at home for 10 days, you're actually impacting your education. You're putting yourself behind because you're not now moving forward towards graduation. Any day that you miss from school, you're missing valuable instruction, and it always puts you behind. So we just want to impress upon them that this is just not something that is okay. It's not acceptable. We're also sharing with them that there are possible legal consequences because whenever a threat is made, we are engaging with law enforcement. They're part of the threat assessment team, and they're part of looking at what happens. They take it to their supervisor. Supervisor takes it to the Commonwealth's attorney. There may be charges that can be filed. And those criminal charges could be misdemeanor or felony charges. There is state code that if you make certain threats on school property, about school personnel or another student, you can be charged with a felony, and it is Class 6 felony. And they may be immediately arrested and placed in juvenile detention. That is very real. It is happening across our region. It is happening across the state, and it's happening across the nation. So again, they're just not trying to scare kids, but give them the reality of what the situation. If you think it's funny and you want to make a joke and say you're going to kill somebody, there are going to be consequences for that choice. And then they're just talking through the possible long-term consequences as well, because it's not just now. This carries with you, unfortunately. So again, you have that impact on your education, whether there's a suspension or expulsion. There's the legal or the court implications. You'll have a legal record. There are court costs, attorney fees. Your parents have to be present. They have to miss work. They have to miss work when they come and sit for a superintendent's disciplinary hearing. That may be costing your family money. There are instances where people have had to pay restitution. When they've made a bomb threat, they've had to pay for those emergency services that had to come to that school to relieve that school and make sure that that threat wasn't legitimate. And you're talking hundreds and potentially thousands of dollars in restitution. And again, they could potentially have a court record that would follow them through college if they wanted to apply to college or to jobs, when all these jobs do background checks, because there are places now that are charging juveniles with adult crimes because kids know better. They know they shouldn't do this, and they choose to do it anyway. So, and then they lose the trust of people around them, not just in the adults, but also in their friends. And they have to work to rebuild that trust. We're trying to encourage them that you can rebuild trust, but it's going to take time if you choose to do something like this where you cause fear in other people. They are also stressing the importance, and this was in the letter that we sent yesterday too, because, you know, we've all heard the phrase snitches get stitches, right? And it's not an acceptable phrase. And so we try to teach kids the difference between what we call snitching or telling versus reporting. And so when you're snitching or telling on someone, you're trying to purposefully get them in trouble. You're trying to stop yourself potentially from getting in trouble. You have something to gain from it, or you want to just hurt someone that you don't like. You want to get them in trouble and you think it's going to be funny to do that. That's not what we want. We want people to be reporting information. And so we're pushing our students to understand the difference. Reporting is that you're going to keep yourself safe. You're going to keep others safe. You're going to recognize that the problem might be urgent or important, and you're going to reach out to an adult, someone that will help you with that situation. Excuse me. Reporting, you may need an adult help with something. We don't expect our students to have the answers to all of the problems. We know that they're still growing and learning. That's when you rely on adults to help you make better decisions. And they're speaking out because they know that something is wrong. So we're really pushing and encouraging people to report. And I will say that's working, because the last couple pieces that we've been dealing with this week are all people who have come and said, hey, I heard this, I saw this, you need to know about this. So we're grateful to those people for having the courage to step up and to report that information so that we can look into it and make sure that everybody is safe. And then in terms of how do you then report that information? So we want you to report it. How do you report it? There's a variety of ways that you can do that. Tell a teacher, an administrator, a counselor, a staff member, SRO, trusted adult, coach, board member, student representative. Just tell somebody, and then that somebody can let us know. You know, in school division, we're mandated reporters when it comes to things like child abuse. So if we don't report things like child abuse, we could potentially be charged criminally as well. So adults know that they need to report that information to administrators. You can have a parent or a guardian or a friend call the school if you don't want to do it yourself. They can speak on your behalf and say, hey, Patty called me and told me that so-and-so said they were going to do something, or Patty told me she wants to hurt herself. We can then get Patty the help that Patty needs. Not that you want to hurt yourself. The Stop It app, again, mentioned that earlier, but that, again, is on students' Chromebooks, and it's anonymous. You don't have to. You can put your name if you want to, but you don't have to. You can simply type in and say, I heard so-and-so make a threat in third period or at the lunch table. This is what they said. And then it goes straight to administrators' desks, comes up here. I get an email, Mrs. Owens gets an email, other folks, administrators, and then they immediately begin looking into that information. And then just always, if it's an immediate emergency, call 911, and they'll offer help in different ways, whatever the situation is, they'll help and provide support. So if you're not sure what to do, call 911. And then we just put this in here because it's so important to remember that every single day our words matter all the time, and our actions matter as well. So let's say things that are kind, things that are true, things that are helpful, they're inspiring, they're necessary and kind. So this THINK acronym, whether you're posting something online, whether you're having a conversation with somebody, whether you're on the bus or at the lunch table, use the THINK acronym before you choose to say something. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If it isn't, then don't say it. Don't post it. Don't write it. Don't put it anywhere that it could create an issue for us as a school division, for your family, or create fear because you've chosen to make a threat. So words matter and actions matter. So those are some of the things that we're doing. We're going to continue to monitor those situations. We'll continue to communicate with families about situations. And again, we'll continue to keep you all as a board updated. Just switching gears a little bit related to a whole bunch of things is this community event that we're going to be participating in on September 19th. So at the Tech Center at 7 p.m., we will be live streaming. The First Lady of Virginia is going to be with the author of the book, The Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt. And they're going to be having what they're calling a fireside chat about how smartphones and social media have led to a decline in the mental health of our youth, and offer some solutions to help everyone. So it's open to anyone in the community, anyone in the public is welcome to attend. We do have a flyer with a link on it. We'll make sure all of that is resent out. Check on the link. But we're happy to host anybody that would like to participate in that event. So that'll be going on around the state on the 19th. And the other event, it's not on this particular slide, but on the 24th, we have our next community forum. And right after that at 5 o'clock, we'll have a guest speaker from VCU talking about vaping and the dangers of vaping and the chemicals and the things. So we hope family and community, again, will come and join us for that free event as well. That will be at Page High School at 5 o'clock, right after our community forum on the 24th. And we just want to say thank you. It's been almost 3 weeks of school. We've had a lot going on, a lot of good things happening and some not so good things happening, but we just want to say thank you to all of our faculty and our staff for making a smooth start to the school year. To all of our law enforcement and our emergency service partners, we've been in communication a lot lately, but that's a good thing that we can communicate with them. And so we just want to say thank you to them, and we just want to continue to say thank you and encourage our parents and guardians and our community partners to keep being in that partnership with us. We can't do this work alone. We need them in it with us. So call us if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you're not sure about something. And like we tell our faculty and our staff, no matter what it is, if somebody says something and it makes you think, I'm not sure about that, just call us and tell us about it. It's better that we know it and look into it than it get left and it be something serious. So just call us if there's any concern that you have. And again, thank you to you all as a board for your support and your work as we move through this school year. So thank you. That's my update. So, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Ms. Seacrest, approval of claim for payment.
Yes, good evening again, board members. You have been provided with the claim certification for operating expenditures were $222,586.81. Food service expenditures, $52,022.71. Total expenditures, $274,609.52. Along with that, you have the list of claims as well as the check registers. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
I make a motion that we approve the financial statements presented tonight for claims payment.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan Smoot, and a second by Mr. Overfelt to approve the claims for payment as presented. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Overfelt.
Yes.
Ms. Allen.
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Seacrest. Yours over.
Yes, Board, we have two POs for your consideration this evening. The first one is utilizing transportation funds for engine repairs to a bus. Mr. Corey Turner did tell me the bus is over 15 years old with over 200,000 miles. He did try to find some other ways to repair the bus. However, it needed much more specialized diagnostic equipment and things that we just don't have. So that is what he asked that I relay to you on as well regarding that. And then the second is wrestling supplies, which would be the mats and the uniforms for LHS to begin the wrestling program anticipated this winter.
So just, yeah, if I go back in memory, we're redoing the basketball courts, right, somewhere?
That'll be next summer, so we have sent a resolution to the Board of Supervisors to
that.
cover those two costs.
And now we're doing the wrestling supplies. Have we got any more athletic equipment or athletic expenditures that we plan in the near future?
So with the proposed two programs, this would be at LHS with the wrestling. This would also be an expenditure for coaching staff. And then any travel to maybe possible meets or things like that. Usually they cover those with their school activity funds. The other program that was going to be added was at Page County High School, which was the indoor winter track, since we don't really have indoor
Right.
facilities.
Okay.
And my understanding is that they basically have what they need for that program because it piggybacks off of cross country as well as spring track. However, we would be paying a coaching stipend for that.
I know that there's just a lot of interest, I know, in the public out there as to other expenditures to support our athletic programs.
Yes, so this is more than what we have in the past few years.
Good. Good. Okay, making progress.
Just have to find some coach. I believe we have indoor track. We have to find a wrestling coach. So if anyone we know out there is into that, send them our way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the POs over 10,000 as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Painter and a second by Mr. Overfelt to approve the POs over 10,000 as presented. Ms. Allen.
Yeah.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
Mr. Overfelt.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Seacrest, resolution.
Yes, your all's favorite part. This is a resolution for the community schools grant. I'll read this resolution into the record. Resolution to the Page County Board of Supervisors requesting adjustment of the, that should say 2024, 2025 school budget for community schools grant. Whereas the Page County School Board has approved has been awarded the 2024 through 2026 Community Schools Development and Implementation Grant, and whereas the anticipated funds of this grant will exceed the original estimated budget for the 2024-2025 school year, and whereas the Page County School Board will receive the additional funds in FY25 and FY26 channeled through the Virginia Department of Education and grantors in two equal payments, 50% in September of 2024, 50% in July of 2025. And whereas the additional state community school grant funds will be used to support programs and activities consistent with the guidelines set forth in the Virginia Community Schools Framework. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Page County School Board, for audit and record-keeping purposes, to keep the 2024-2025 budget in balance with no increase or decrease of local appropriations involved, respectfully request the Page County Board of Supervisors to appropriate additional funds for the community schools grant in the total amount of $281,850.50. Below is the budget amendment table. Page 2, this is to certify that the foregoing resolution was authorized by the Page County School Board during its regular session on Thursday, September 12th, 2024.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution on community school grants as presented.
Second. A motion by Mrs. Sullivan Smith and a second by Ms. Allen to approve the resolution for the community schools grant.
Mr. Banks?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Overbaugh?
Yes.
Ms. Albert? Yes. Ms. Sullivan Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we have been approached by VSBA multiple times to present somebody to be the regional chair or vice chair. We've said possibly not multiple times, and they continue to approach us. So I have put the paperwork in to be the regional chair, which needs approval by the board, if you all should approve.
Make a motion, we approve Ms. Gordon as the VSBA Regional Chair.
Second.
What does that mean for you? So discussion, right?
What is that? Yes.
Well, so-
We have a motion and a second. Who made the second? Ms. Bryant.
Right, so point of discussion, what does that mean for you? What impact does that have for the board?
It doesn't have an impact on the board. It's quarterly meetings for the regional chair. And typically, I don't even know if they really meet quarterly. Mrs. Sullivan Smith would know a little bit more about that. But we meet would have to lead the meeting that's at VSBA in November. And then there may be 3 additional meetings throughout the year, but there may not be. And it wouldn't have any impact on our board other than giving us a voice at our regional board.
You'd be presenting out too, I think, at the conference, right? If they do that, you'd have something to
I don't.
Regional?
do they?
Sometimes there's a regional meeting.
Sometimes there's
Yeah.
a regional
Regional
meeting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they bring in.
Yeah, we do the regional meeting.
And we'll be
Yeah.
hosting the Regional Valley and Art Competition. We'll be hosting that this year. Page County will be hosting.
So it's a chance to have a voice at the regional board. I did serve on the legislative committee. The positions committee, we met this past summer, which was pretty interesting, how they determine the positions that are going to be voted on by the larger group in Williamsburg. So that was pretty interesting.
Do you want to do this?
Well, I felt bad saying no again. So they would like somebody from our area, specifically from our board. So I don't mind doing it because I do find it interesting. And I guess this is on record that I find it interesting, but I would not have thought that I would have, but I did. So,
So Mr. Gordon is okay with it?
yes, he is okay with it.
Okay. I gotta speak up for Buck.
So we're happy for you.
Well, it's a nomination, so I guess they have to vote, but I'm not 100% sure how many people are putting in. So,
So, I guess.
Oh, you still might get spared.
yeah, I may be spared.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Overbaugh?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes. We will file that and see, I guess. Board member comments?
Well, a lot of good information this evening. Thank you for all who were part of that. And I just want to throw out one thing to anyone listening, whether it be a young person or an older person. An act of kindness, whether it's a smile, pat on the back, a compliment, you never know what that might mean. And there's a story that's been out there for years about 2 students walking home from school one day. And the one student had all his books and he was carrying them home. And the other student noticed that. And so they started talking, and the one student said, well, why don't you come over to my house? And the other student did. And as time went on, they got to be very good friends. And it keeps going. And I think it was on graduation, the one who carried his books home that day told his buddy, he said, you know, I was going to commit suicide that day. I brought all my books and everything home so my parents wouldn't have to go to school and pick all that up. But the fact that you spoke to me, you invited me to your house, and everything that happened after that, that's why I'm here today. And I just want to say thank you. That other buddy had no idea that he had any, connection there at all. But you don't need to know. Just remember, kindness can make all the difference in the world. Again, whether it's a smile, hey, how you doing? Good morning. Just remember that. It can make a huge difference.
Okay, I guess I'm next. Mr. Painter and I had a discussion last month, I guess, when it calls out. So we've made a decision and a commitment with each other that we're going to visit all the schools together. And hopefully when we're doing this, we can stop in and have a bite to eat with kids if the principals don't mind, because I think that'd be a lot of fun. I read a story today about a gentleman who's a fifth grade teacher. And he eats lunch every single day with his kids. And it just sounded really cool. And I think it'd be a great opportunity for us to not only see the schools, talk to the staff, but also get a chance to interact with some of the kids. So we're committed to that. And we're going to start in October, right? Yes. Okay, cool. The other thing I want to encourage everyone to go to the fireside chat. I think that'd be really good. I've seen Dr. Haight before. He has a great message, and it is amazing what cell phone and all this laptop technology is doing to kids' brains. And I just can't overstate it. It's incredible the negative impact it's having on our children and even and young adults and even our adults. If we think about the amount of time you spend in front of these boxes, in front of your cell phones, we need to get folks out and play much more than we do, and so get away from the devices. So I hope that more folks can go out there and actually witness that conversation. And also, it's a great chance for Page County to get out and make a nice showing for the Virginia First Lady. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not going to hurt the county to get a little extra marketing and advertisement as to how wonderful this county really is. And that's my advertisement for that. In regard to the threat that we've got going on right now, it is a serious issue, very, very serious. And we've all heard the phrase, if you see something, say something. But I would say if you see something, if you hear something, make sure you report it. The information that Dr. Fox put out tonight is absolutely well done. It covers a lot of the bases. But as everyone knows, you can't cover every single contingency. It's impossible. But if everyone works together as a team and makes, calls out any kind of a threat they see, then we have a good chance of preventing any kind of tragedy. I hope too that the letter that was sent out yesterday, and Randy, if you're listening, Amy, I'd like to see that letter in the Page Valley News, and I'd like to see it in the Page News and Courier. I think our local media should be publishing those kind of documents to help support the community and to get the information out to our public. And lastly, I just wanted to welcome again our new student representatives, one returning and one new. And Sebastian, I got to hand it to you. You're putting us to shame with you're setting the style for dress. So appreciate you guys for being here. That's all I've got.
So thus far, in speaking to administrators and teachers, I've heard really, really great reports about the cell phone policy and how wonderful the students are doing with that and how respectful they're being with that. So I think that's awesome. So kudos to everyone, especially our students. I know, it's a transition. But again, if you're not seeing that and you are having issues, I encourage anyone to speak up and let us know. And yeah, I just want to encourage everyone, students and staff alike, that if you need help, there is help out there. Ask for help to every problem. And I know that it can seem like there's a lot of problems. There's always a solution, and you never have to find those alone. And one decision can create a very permanent solution to a temporary problem. So I just, we presented a lot of resources tonight, which I think are great. We have a very supportive, uplifting community, so just encourage people if they need that support in any capacity to please ask for it.
Well, there's no need to tell you that we don't live in a perfect world because we don't. But one thing is for sure, Page County loves its future, and that is our children. And we are stronger with the help of the parents. And please know that the administration is working diligently with the Sheriff's Department, all local law enforcement. They are in contact. They care. They've been making extra little runs that you may or may not see, and we want to say thank you to that. And to the students, congratulations for having good attitudes about the technology that you really can go without for a while. Good job to you. And this will give you an opportunity, like Ms. Smoot just said, to reach out and show kindness to somebody else. Use the opportunities that you have and just connect with people. And that's another reason, not just your education, but to make connections with those in your classroom. You don't know what that can pour into someone else. And so keep up the good work. We are working together, and just keep praying for our community. Pray for our students, and we are fortunate in the community that we live in. And thanks to our law enforcement. And of course, welcome, Miss Bridget, and welcome back, Sebastian.
So this feels like our first school meeting for the school year, at least, with our students back. So it's good to have you with us. And looking forward to the updates. I think there's been a lot of every conversation I've had with somebody at ball games has been very positive. The things that we all have made changes with, and the things that we're doing. I've heard I don't want to say anything because it might start hearing it, but I haven't heard much about one certain policy we adopted recently. Does that stay far enough away from it?
Yeah.
The community school grant, wow. Good job. Good job. Thanks, Mr. Runyon, on that dual enrollment thing. I'm going to send that to a couple people, tell them listen to the meeting and see how we'll get some responses back, I'm sure. This Saturday, not this Saturday, but Saturday the 21st, there's going to be a Valley Rise Above International Recovery Month for Celebration and Recovery Walk. And that's going to be sponsored by PACA and Saveda. Free Indeed is a group that we have at Newport Church. That's averaging about 30-some people every Tuesday night for a meal, and lives are changing. And it's a lot to do with Megan and Ted. When y'all came and presented things, now we're starting to journal, work through some feelings and all those things, which leads me into the care solace. I'm hoping, I think there's a great energy about life recovery. I call it life recovery because it's more than just, the drug is something you use to mask and try to heal yourself in a way that wouldn't work, right? But this walk is going to be the 21st. It begins at 5 p.m. and they're going to be walking from the courthouse to Luray Powell Theater. There's going to be a guest speaker, a resource tables, free food, and live music. So we're looking forward to it. 23 West Club's also a sponsor on it. And there's a Celebrate Recovery here in Luray at the Main Street Baptist Church on Mondays. So I'm hoping that same energy goes to mental health and this thing. And thank you for doing that. And I'm looking forward to seeing how much more data you can get us, that more engagement, which has really been good. So thank you all for everything you're doing. It's been good. We're heading in the right. We're heading up and up. We're in positive pathways for sure. Why not Paige?
Sebastian, Bridget, would you all want to say anything? Welcome. Thank you. Welcome back, Sebastian. Welcome, Bridget. We've got you for 2 years, hopefully now. So this is just the beginning.
Thank you all for allowing me to come back, and I really am glad to be back here, and I feel like this year I'm really going to have a good grasp on things. I have a lot better, I know what to anticipate is coming. Since last year I was kind of figuring it out, but this year I think I'll have it down pretty pat. I would like to add that I've heard no complaints about the cell phone policy, which I think is fantastic. Everybody's working good through it. Everybody's getting their phones and stuff up. I've had a couple teachers go through, make sure it's not just a case or something in one of the pouches. But no, it's
Do that.
everybody's had their phones up, and every now and then there's a situation you might need a password or something, and then you may be allowed to get it then for a minute or two, get your stuff figured out, but you get it back up there, and I think everybody's really doing good with it. And the SAPs, the SAPs, I think that is a fantastic program too. I think a lot of people are really getting the remediation they need. And I also think that a lot of the clubs are getting time that they didn't have before that they really needed. And I'd like to thank you all for both of them.
Thank you. Bridget?
I completely agree with everything he just said. I'm only in school half the time because I go to gov school, but the time that I am there, it's only positive things. The self-owned policy, I think that it's very good that it's completely black and white now instead of in some classes you have this, but in others. But I think it's a very good addition.
Thank you. And we look forward to working with you all year. Yeah. Thank you. Everybody I think covered pretty much everything. So just thank you for a great start to the school year. I know we've had some issues and we've had some bumps, but I feel like we've navigated those. I felt we talked about that at the beginning of the year, navigating through some of this stuff and continuing to stay positive and move forward. So I think we're doing that. Dr. Fox, you and your team, your staff. I've heard nothing too in the community except for really positive. I've talked to teachers, students, community members, and it's all been very positive. Thank you.
It's nice to hear, and thank you to our administrators and teachers and staff for making that happen.
Absolutely. I make a motion, we adjourn.
Oh, somebody's been asked.
Miss Sullivan. I'm going to give it to Mr. Overcoat.
I was watching.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are.